ahead and lie to me and tell you that music doesn't just put you in a great mood. For the last time this week, it is Village Vice. We got all the championship games coming up this weekend. Auburn just dominated the SEC ACC Challenge, men's and women's side at Neville Arena. And it's a fun time of year. Welcome to December. Welcome to the show. He is Zach Blackerby.
Yes.
I'm Brad Law. And, we're going to talk championship weekend here in just a little while, Zach, but it is portal season. We are in portal season. It is the most wonderful time of year for some. It is the most dreadful time of year for others. But we're going to talk today about Auburn's biggest need from the portal. We know about the recruiting class and the high school guys who are coming in, but you've also got to evaluate your biggest needs from the portal.
Yeah. And it's funny, when we were kind of putting together this show, we're like, let's talk about the biggest need outside of quarterback. And I'm like, well, we talked about it like, it's just biggest need, because I don't think either of us believe that quarterback is the biggest need for this team. It's just that's what all the focus is on, right? With Cam Ward announcing that he intends to enter the portal, with that coming up, as well as the attention about KJ Jefferson and Grayson McCall and Riley Leonard.
Yeah.
There's a ton of drama and intrigue and potential upside about the quarterbacks. But as you made a great case on our most recent edition of Village Vice, I think it makes more sense to focus elsewhere. If you can get a quarterback that has a chance to be better than Peyton Thorne, you bring him in. But I think Peyton Thorne in the second year of this scheme could be solid. I don't think he could be great, but I think he could be really, really solid. We've seen him win double-digit wins in a season before at Michigan State. He had better options around him, and I think that's why this is so important. But to me, the biggest addition isn't even about the offense. To me, I am looking at the defensive line, because losing Marcus Harris, I think it's a big deal. And then guys that just are role players, Brad, like you don't like get super pumped about the addition of like a Lawrence Johnson or a Messiah Nasili Kite, but those are the type dudes on your roster that help you win football games over the course of a season. And you lose a lot of those guys. Oh yeah, the Marcus Harris. That is going to be a big loss. We'll see if he comes back. We don't know. We haven't seen an official announcement one way or the other about that, but I'm expecting him to test the NFL waters. And then you look at some other guys. You look at, does Zacchaeus Walker stay, which I think he was kind of set up for a bigger season, an NC Sledge, there's so many guys that I think are probably going to be interested in leaving, Brad. And to me, you've got to reload that roster, or that part of the roster, big time.
Yeah, you need about 8 guys that are in the rotation in your 3-4 scheme, right? You'd like about 8 guys that you consider defensive linemen that play meaningful, more than 1 or 2 snaps a game. You'd love a rotation. If you have 4 down linemen, you'd love 8 to 10. So in this scheme, you need 7 or 8 guys. And Marcus Harris had a fantastic year. I'm so happy for Marcus. He put in a lot of work. He was a leader on this team. If he decides to come back, I think it could change your projection of Auburn by a game.
I'm with you on that.
I think he's that meaningful. So he would be a big loss if he decided to test the waters. And is it more important, do you think, or do you think Auburn has guys that they could slide into interior D-line positions and address the outside? Or do you think it's more important to address the interior?
It's also important. That's tough. That's a tough question. Like, I feel good about Jason Jones coming back, so that's going to bolster the interior some. We haven't seen an official word on Justin Rogers, but my guess is he's not here next year. I don't know that. That's just kind of my guess. And so you look at it, and you've got a Quintrell Jamison Travis, who came in a little late, so this year wasn't really in the cards for him as much, but highly touted JUCO guy that joined this past offseason. Can he take that step forward as kind of that 3 technique? I don't know. Keldrick Falk, he's big. I hope they keep him a defensive end, but they certainly could scoot him inside if they needed to. And then there's some guys that people really want. Darren Reed is an intriguing one. He'll be a redshirt freshman this upcoming season. Can he make an impact right away? I don't know. But I think the talent is there. It's just the numbers, I don't think, are going to be there. And so they're going to have to figure out a way to not really drop off the level of talent per player, but also I think they've got to add four or five defensive linemen when it's all done.
And you may have to play younger players a lot more in 24 than they did in 23. Because, I mean, you're able to redshirt. You had some young players, and, some of them may opt to go elsewhere because maybe they didn't play because they weren't quite ready to contribute and may not be for a couple of years. But
and there's going to be some true freshmen that I think play into this. I love Malik Blockton's game, who is related to Marcus Harris, and maybe that'll play a part in him deciding if he's going to stay or not. We'll see. But TJ Lindsey, man, like, this is a kid that was kind of looked over when he was in Arkansas, and then he goes to IMG Academy for his senior season. Everybody's like, oh yeah, he is really good. Like, he is really good. Unfortunately, Auburn already had his commitment by that point, but he's a guy that could come in and play as a true freshman.
Yeah, I think so. If you have the more experienced guys, you're able to protect the younger players a little bit and enable them to develop. And you kind of not scheme, but you safeguard the snaps that they're playing.
Yeah.
In other words, they're playing when you're up a couple of scores, or when you've got the other team backed up and you have a little more cushion, or so on and so forth, rather than needing those guys to play 15, 20 snaps when games are in the balance. It affects a ton when you can have some experienced, talented guys along your defensive front.
Yeah. So I said defensive line was my biggest need in the portal. What's your opinion, Brad? What's the biggest need for Auburn in the portal?
I tend to agree with you. I mean, I'm not high on conflict anyway with you, but I do agree on this for sure. I'm curious about offensive line because you have one guy signed right now in the high school class. Offensive line's probably the position among all positions where you least want to see true freshmen.
Yeah.
You lose a couple of guys on the offensive line. I thought you did a really good job of laying out the list of guys who cannot come back. I'm curious, like, do you feel really confident in the tackle position next year? As we sit on December 1st, projecting forward, do you feel locked in on the tackle position?
Is Dylan Wade on the roster? Because that's a big question mark for me. That's one of the most important guys on this roster right now. Auburn needs to retain Dylan Wade.
Yeah, I agree.
If he stays, I feel a lot better about it. I think Xavier Miller, Too Tall Miller, I think he played ahead. I think he's ahead of schedule, Brad. I don't think they expected him to play this past season, and he started. So I think he's going to take a massive leap. And he was already raw. Everything we heard about Xavier Miller this past spring was he's going to be good. He's just raw. He's got to work on his feet. And then we hear how he's so impressive in fall camp. They can't keep him off the field, and he wins a starting spot. So I feel great about Xavier Miller, and I feel great about Dylan Wade if he stays.
Yeah.
But if he doesn't stay, can you put Muskrat there, who's another transfer from a year ago? I don't know. Yeah. All of a sudden, then I think you've got to go out and get a guy.
It's tough to evaluate those tackles in the portal too, because a really talented tackle is entrenched somewhere already. And the mentality, I think, of those guys is a little bit different. You don't see them bounce around and move around as much as you do some of the guys who play skill positions. So your pool from the portal at that position, I think, is a little more shallow. There just aren't that many guys to choose from.
Yeah. I also think with offensive line, the portal is beautiful for this position because I think it's easier for these guys to take a natural step up. And you see it translate a lot better there than other places because technique is such a big part of it, right? Yeah. Because this guy may have not been a highly touted dude, but he grows into his 6'3", 6'4", 6'5" frame over the course of, him being 18, 19, 20 years old. And as a transfer, after playing, 20 games in his career or maybe more, it's like, oh, this guy can translate his game to the next level. And that's what we saw last year. I mean, we saw with Avery Jones at East Carolina.
Yep.
We saw it with Dylan Wade at Tulsa. And we obviously saw it with Gunnar Britton coming from Western Kentucky. The biggest difference between offensive line and defensive line from a standpoint of like what Auburn needs is I don't think they necessarily need the quantity on the offensive line. I think they need the quality. I think they need to go out and get one really solid tackle. I think the rest will fall into place. But it is worth mentioning Hugh Freeze likes to have 16 scholarship offensive linemen right now. And if Auburn were to only add 1 or 2 guys in the portal, there'd still be about 3 guys short of that number. So they may be active regardless. They may try to get a few offensive tackles and a few offensive guards just to kind of see where the chips fall over spring and fall camp.
The first indicator last year that this staff really knew, like that you could trust the early plan that was in place, was the way they attacked the offensive line room.
Yeah.
And the way that they added bodies there, quality, quantity, all of it together. And I thought that group improved throughout the year. None of this discussion is to say that the current guys or the guys who are coming back won't be really good. It's just exactly what you mentioned. If you're trying to get to 16, you're going to have to go about it a couple of different ways. But Jake Thornton in the job that line. I saw some advanced stats today that Auburn was the only team in the SEC that had 2 players in the top 10 of rushing yards before contact this year. Jarquez and Peyton were among the top 10 in the SEC in rushing yards before contact. And that's a credit to scheme. It's a credit to play calling. It's a credit to, on an RPO, like Peyton's decision-making on that, but it's also a tremendous credit to that offensive line.
Yeah,
so
I saw people making memes, Brad, of comparing that stat to Tank Bigsby getting it'd be great if he got to the line of scrimmage before getting hit while he was here. So
you imagine Tank getting ready for those Jaguars games, watching the offensive line open holes and create space and just going, man, where would I be on the Auburn all-time rushing list? With a lot higher space.
Yep, he'd be a lot higher. Thankfully, he loved Auburn. All right, so let's jump into a little buy sell, which is brought to you by our buddy Ross Kilpatrick. He's serving the Auburn area, locations in Auburn, Lake Martin, and Fort Walton Beach, Florida. From Auburn to Lake Martin to the Emerald Coast of Florida, contact Ross Kilpatrick with Exit Realty Anchor South for all of your real estate needs. 334-402-0028. Are you buying or selling this, Brad?
Okay.
Auburn has 20 players enter the portal between now and the start of the season. Right now, we've got 3 names that have publicly announced that they are going to enter the portal. NC Sledge and Steven Johnson, 2 defensive linemen, and then Amari Kelly on Friday put out a graphic saying that. So we're at 3. Do we get to 20 by the start of the season?
20 is a lot. 20 is a good number.
I believe it was 20 last year as well that transferred out.
You know, you transfer for different reasons year 1 to year 2. Like you don't know whether you'll fit or not, so you leave before year 1. Year 2, you know you don't fit as well. Like just it's not there for you. So are there 17 more guys who will be told flat out or come to their own conclusion? No, I'll sell that. 20 is just such a big nut. It's 20% of your team.
It's a lot.
So I think it'll be teens, might be high teens, but I will sell that it gets to 20.
I'm buying it.
Okay.
I'm buying it. I think we see it, but we'll see. And we'll probably get a bigger number or a number closer to that on Monday when the portal does actually open and we see different announcements. So we'll see on that. Are you buying or selling? Auburn as a quarterback in the portal. Let me amend this. Auburn adds a quarterback in the December transfer portal window.
Ooh, that's tougher. But if you're going to, that's really tough. Because again, as we discussed the other day, Auburn has a quarterback and until it doesn't, Auburn has a quarterback. I do understand that competition makes everybody better. And Hugh Freeze has never shied away from saying you want quarterbacks, especially who embrace competition.
Right.
And so it's not to say anything against one player to say that you bring another player in just to provide competition. These guys in the December portal, though, the names you talked about at the beginning of the show and others, I don't know how many of them are going someplace to compete. I think your December guys are going somewhere to start. So I will say, probably against logic a little bit, I will sell that they add a quarterback in the December period.
All right, I'm buying it. So we disagree on both of these.
Yeah.
So far. All right, you buying or selling? Auburn adds 6 total linemen in the portal, offense and defense.
In the portal. All right. Yeah, total offense and defense.
Yeah.
Yes, I buy that. Yeah.
And what if I went up to 8?
That's about the line. Yeah.
I said it too low? I said it a little too low, didn't I?
Yeah. But yeah, 8 is probably where I'd go. 7, 8, 9, somewhere in that range. So I buy 6. Depends on which way the wind blows, whether I buy 8. But today I haven't bought yet, so I'll buy at 8.
Got it. All right. Are you buying or selling that one of the trio, only one needs to come back for you to buy this? One of the trio of Keontae Scott, Jalen Simpson, or Marcus Harris returns?
I buy that one of them comes back. Yeah. I think they all help themselves tremendously, and that their pro prospects are much better right now than they would have been a year ago. But I think the odds would say one of those guys does come back. Yes.
That'd be huge. Which one would be biggest for Marcus Harris, right? We agree that Marcus Harris would be the biggest.
Yeah, I do. I do think that it would go a long way to have some more returning experience in the secondary.
Yeah.
Can any of those guys push themselves even higher up the draft board by coming? Like, can Jalen Simpson improve more next year? Can he push himself higher up the board?
I don't know.
With another year? Can Marcus do that? He's got the work ethic to do it.
I think Marcus is the one that could benefit the most from coming back. I think Jalen is probably where he is. Keontae Scott, I get it. He tweeted out that he got the invite, but he hasn't accepted it yet, as far as I know. So we'll see. We'll see. I'm selling. I think all 3 of them leave.
Okay.
Last one.
That's on brand for you, though.
Yeah. Yeah, that's probably true.
Yeah.
Buying or selling?
I say that completely lovingly. I hope you know that.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah, right. I get it. Well, I'm pretty confident 2 of them aren't coming back. And so I'm just rolling the dice on the 3rd one, just from people I've talked to. I'm not going any deeper than that. But I feel pretty confident 2 of them are gone. So we'll see.
Understood.
Buying or selling, nothing changes in the running back room from the 2023 roster to the 2024 roster.
I'll sell that. It's a lot of guys. It's a lot of guys in that room. They're all capable, whether it's one that just thinks maybe he can get more carries somewhere else. Change is just too prevalent.
And I believe they all can transfer. So Brian Batty is the only running back on this roster acquired by transfer, and he's old enough. He's a senior, so I'm assuming he could grad transfer if he needed to. So you've got Brian Batty, Jarquez Hunter, Sean Jackson, Damari Austin, and Jeremiah Cobb. To me,
Sean Jackson could be a major player at 40 D1 schools.
You think so?
I think so.
A lot of Auburn people feel that way.
Yeah.
I don't know. I genuinely don't. I haven't seen him enough to know that.
And I'm not saying that I think he should go.
Yeah.
I think he loves being here, obviously. And
right.
You could be a lot worse off than being in the running room, even as a backup at Auburn University, coached by Carnell Williams.
And he's on scholarship now. I think he enjoys it here, like you said. I think his family's close, right? He's from Birmingham or Montgomery. So, I'm buying that nothing changes. I think this is Auburn's running back room next year.
Okay. Yeah. I think that
a lot of disagreement today. A lot of disagreement.
A lot. Yeah. I can't wait to get to the picks.
Yeah. That's right. That's right. Hey, thank you so much to Ross Kilpatrick for sponsoring Buy Sell. Serving the Auburn area with locations in Auburn, Lake Martin, and Fort Walton Beach, Florida. Make sure to hit up Ross at 334-402-0028 with Exit Realty Anchor South for all of your real estate needs.
He's so popular and with good reason. We love
and handsome.
Oh, incredibly handsome. Speaking of incredibly handsome, let's get into the Village Vice 6-pack. That really had nothing to do with the transition. I just wanted to do that.
Thought we were about to go into a Manscaped read. Not gonna lie to you.
Nope, that's coming up though. Hold your dadgum horses, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's get into the championship weekend activities here, starting with your Friday game, one of a couple of Friday games. Pac-12 championship, last one ever, Washington, Oregon. Washington won the regular season matchup. People are like, nah, we don't care about that. Oregon is a 9-point favorite in this game. What do you think?
I think Oregon's very good, but everybody has just thought they were better than Washington all year, despite them playing against each other. It's very, very odd. I'm going Washington. I'm going Washington here, straight up.
We're going to be right. We're going to be in lockstep on these picks because we disagreed so much on the other stuff.
Yeah, we met our disagreement quota already.
I agree.
A touchdown line for this? It's crazy to me.
9 points. 9 points. It's not like that. And I get Oregon's explosive offensively. And there's some sentimental, like a lot of Auburn people want to see Bo Nix win the Heisman and win the title. And that's great. I objectively think Washington is a better team.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I like the Dogs there too. All right, let's go to the Mountain West where Boise State plays UNLV. Boise is a 2.5-point favorite. I'm trying to get more DM activity. Boise's a 2.5-point favorite.
Who DM'd you?
Huh?
Who DM'd you?
Oh, who do you think?
I'll pick our potato posse friends.
Well, it's interesting that they announced the firing of their head coach a month before the regular season was over when they were still very much in the hunt for the Mountain West Championship. I like UNLV here. They have only won. Did I mention this a couple of weeks ago? We had a UNLV pick. UNLV has had 2 10-win seasons in their history.
Okay.
One of them had to be forfeited. So they've only once legitimately won 10 games. They can do that with a win over Boise.
Good for them.
I think they get it. I think Barry Odom and company get it.
Where is this game played at?
That's a good question. I should have included that.
No, you're good.
My guess would be Vegas.
That's where the Pac-12s is.
Yeah, that's true.
It says varies by year.
Huh.
What kind of conference does that?
That is fantastic. All right.
It is Las Vegas.
By UNLV. It's at Allegiant Stadium.
Oh, this says Las Vegas on what I'm reading. So who knows? Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
So there you go.
Got it.
Now that's our quota for Mountain West talk, I think, for the rest of the year. Meanwhile, in the Big Ten, Michigan is a 22-point favorite against a top 20 team.
Yeah, Michigan covers. Michigan covers in this game.
All right, the more fun one is the over-under on this game is 34.5, which means
it's the over. It's the over. Michigan hits it by themselves.
Gosh, you think they score 35 or more on Iowa?
Yes.
Well, you really don't like Iowa, do you? Like you.
It's a matchup thing, Brad. This is a team that Iowa can't get a first down. And I think Iowa's defense is very good, but over the course of 60 minutes, I mean, we saw with Auburn with some teams this year where when that offense can't keep their own defense off the field, I just think the physicality of Michigan's offense is going to break down Iowa over the course of 60 minutes. I don't think it's anything disrespectful to Iowa. I think it's a bad matchup for them.
Yeah, if a final score of 28-7 were to be locked in for this game, they would hit the over. 28-7, and it would hit the over. Just
that doesn't seem. I don't think that's an outlandish thing to say.
Yeah, that's fair. All right. Before we continue, that was 3. We're 3 deep into our Village Vice 6-pack. I got to tell you about Manscaped and our friends at manscaped.com. Now, we have a lot of fun with Manscaped, and those of you who watch have noticed. I'm going to pause, though, and I'm not going to talk about where your chestnuts are going to be roasting. I'm not going to talk about your pants presents or jingle balls or anything like that, okay? Can we just kind of get serious for a minute? All right? You're a grown man. You want to take care of yourself. Grooming is important. And for that reason, you need the best of the best, and that's Manscaped, all right? Take your body seriously. Take your health seriously. Take your grooming seriously, and do that with Manscaped. Right now, our viewers using the promo code VICE at manscaped.com get 20% off plus free shipping. The Lawnmower 5.0 is the newest in their long line of high-quality products. It is their trimmers are waterproof. The Lawnmower 5.0 trimmer helps reduce nicks. Hello. Just the thought of a nick gives me a little shiver, and not in a good way. Reduces the risk of ingrown hairs, reduces the risk of grooming accidents. And that's why Village Vice viewers, the Vice Squad, goes to manscaped.com to get 20% off and free shipping on all orders online. Again, Manscaped, the very best in men's grooming.
I always get so nervous.
I know.
I always get so nervous during those.
Were you disappointed by that? Like, was it? We'll get back to the other stuff. I just, every now and then it's good to remind us that we're not 13, and it really is important to be well groomed and well kept. So
got it.
There we are.
All right, let's keep going through the six pack.
In the American, you've got number 22 Tulane against our friend Rhett Lashley and SMU. Tulane, a 3-point favorite.
We're picking 2 G5 games.
Yeah, I'm not going to give you Texas and Oklahoma State. Texas is a 2-touchdown favorite over Oklahoma State.
You gave me Michigan, Iowa.
Yeah, but that was to talk about the over-under.
Okay. Who's playing in the American Championship?
Tulane and SMU. And it's
I'll go Tulane.
I'm going SMU. I think their rushing attack is too explosive for Tulane's defense.
Got it.
Good. Number 4, Florida State, 14th ranked Louisville, ACC championship. Knowles are 1.5 point.
Thought you were going to have us picking the Sun Belt. I think this is I'm glad we're picking this game.
Listen, next week, if you want to pick the Village Vice 6-pack, and I'll do buy sell.
You've been great until this week.
Thanks. You said, listen, you have to stack. This is because I said that whole thing about being on brand that you just expect everybody to leave.
I'm going to be real, Brad. I don't even know what you meant by that. Because I don't think I'm a pessimist. I really don't.
Oh, come on. You don't think you're a pessimist?
No. I'm not a pessimist. I bug harder than anybody.
All right. You're a selective pessimist.
That's fine.
That's fair.
That's fine.
When's Auburn getting back to there? Separate conversation for a separate day.
Yeah.
All right. Florida State, Louisville.
Florida State wins.
You think so?
Florida State wins. Joey Gatewood does score a touchdown, though.
Oh, I like that take. I like that prop bet. And then finally, Georgia and Alabama in the SEC championship game. Dogs are 5.5 point favorites, according to our friends at mybookie.ag.
I'm taking Alabama.
Really?
I'm taking Alabama to win. Yep. I think we've seen them in the past struggle against an Auburn team, and then they turn around and put it on Georgia. So I'm going to take Alabama.
I think Kirby, the first thing he did after the Iron Bowl ended was tell his team the exact same thing. You guys remember 2 years ago when they struggled against Auburn and came in and kicked our tail? And I think the exact opposite happens this week.
It totally could.
I think Georgia covers. I think Georgia may win by double digits. I think Georgia, it's unbelievable what he's doing at Georgia right now. It really is. They just don't falter.
It is. Yeah. And I think Alabama's going to be prepared, but there's only so much you can do at this point of the season with parts of your roster. And interestingly enough, I think it's defense. I think they're going to be able to score, but they're concerned about their linebackers. Just talking to folks close to Alabama's staff, like that's what Auburn did. Auburn just attacked the weak side linebacker over and over and over again. And so Georgia's certainly going to be able to do that. But for some reason, I'm picking Alabama. I've just got a feeling.
Okay.
Yep.
Fair enough.
Yep.
And there it is. There's your Village Vice 6-pack.
We're not picking any high school games or anything like that, or
we could pick Auburn basketball at Appalachian State if you want to do that.
Sure. I think the Tigers win. I think they come back with a win.
You're so optimistic. I love that you're such a sunshine pumper.
Brad, I think that about does it for today's show.
I think Auburn wins too, by the way. Thank you very much, everybody, for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Until next time, hopefully Zach wants to do this again next week. Until next time, everyone has vices. Make sure Village Vice is one of yours.